Hello, my name is Ronnie Robinson, Jr. I'm a Concur sales executive in the Southeast United States market. Today, we're going to walk through a quick demonstration of Concur Expense. Concur is a cloud-hosted solution, meaning there's no software to download or hardware to install. You can access Concur 24 hours a day, 7 days a week from your smartphone, tablet, or desktop computer, as long as you've got an internet connection. Before we dive into the site, I want to share with you our Expensive Pro application. As you'll see, Concur is one platform from beginning to end. So we've got options from an AP perspective to handle vendor invoices as they come into the system. We can help you book travel, file expenses, and approve expenses and invoices, all on the go. As we focus today on expense, we'll talk about the expense filer. They can capture receipts on the go, create an expense report from a business trip, add details to specific expenses, and use Expensive Pro from Concur to capture receipts. To use Expensive Pro, all you have to do is be able to use your phone or tablet camera. No typing necessary. Use optical character recognition to pull information from your receipt, things like vendor, date, amount, the information you need to create an expense report. Snap a photo, and Expensive Pro automatically creates an expense line item in Concur. We pull the data. So as you can see a preview image here, we're going to pull this information from this Disney breakfast into Concur. So now we can edit, tweak, adjust the expense if needed. If we need to put a comment in there to carry into Concur as well for approval purposes, we can do that. Then finally, we're going to export it. Everything is now delivered into Concur Expense. I'm going to dive back over to the live site for you. Click on the Expense tab. This is going to allow you to see and manage your expenses. So I've got an open report here. It's actually been submitted and pending approval by my manager. So I've got full capabilities to see where my reports are throughout the process within my organization. I can quickly create a new report here, and I get a list of all of my available expenses that have come in via card transaction charge or hotel folio that's been submitted into Concur for us to capture expenses. Let's click Create a New Report. Let's title it appropriately. You'll see a ton of different fields here. We can make these completely configurable. You can tie things back to clients, you can capture comments, tie things back to specific apartments and allocate appropriately across a couple. You can also make these mandatory by locking them down, giving this little red bar here on the left side. It's going to make your employees or your expense filers fill in that information before proceeding. This is all reportable at the end of the day. You can also add more drop downs if needed. These are completely configurable to your business. So now I'm on my expense page. I've got a blank expense report here on the left, and here are my items that are available to expense. So let's select a couple and drag these over to my expense report. These are all card transactions. And we use the term visual guilt here at Concur. So blue means good. So that means everything is within policy, and I'm actually able to submit this report from here if I need to. We can add a new expense, and it's going to pull up an item or a box here. It's going to give me a list of common expense types that I've used. These are going to be, again, completely configurable, and each one of these expense types are going to tie back to your general ledger. So let's log some personal car mileage. A lot of our clients use this. So I could easily type to and from, my home to office, and then put in the distance there, but Concur is actually integrated with Google Maps, which is a really nice feature. My home address is going to automatically populate since that's where I start my calculations from. This is all driven from my profile. I set this up with my home address, work address, my card information that's going to be linked to the site, and any sort of ACH information if Concur is going to handle or help with any sort of reimbursements for your employees. So let's say I started at home, drove to my office, then let's say I went to the Atlanta airport, and let's just make it a round trip. So I've quickly got down to the 10th of a mile, where I went, how far I went, and I can easily import that into Concur. One thing here at Concur is we're not able to be reimbursed for trips to and from the office, so I need to deduct my commute. I do have a short one, which is nice, but let's deduct that out of my total. Take that down from 39 to now 37. Add that to my expense report. Tie it to a project, client, or department if I'd like. I can also make this billable. I'm going to save that, and it's going to pull over to my expense report. Very simple. And one of the nice things is it truly does allow you to capture the exact mileage that your travelers are incurring while working. Let's talk about the policy piece. So I also get to expense my cell phone bill each month. Let's go ahead and enter that information. I'm entering as much as I can here. Again, you can make these fields mandatory. Let's find a receipt for it, because I need to attach a receipt for this specific expense type. So I'm going to go to my desktop here, go to my documents, got an expenses, mobile phone bill, and I can attach that bill directly to my expense type. And I hit save. It's going to pull that over to my expense report. And you'll notice the visual guilt, right? So I've got a flag. This is something that you're going to set, and we're going to help you create and set up these policies in Concur. I've got a flag here that I need to take care of. So I click into it, and I see that this is over the limit allowed by my policy. It's going to give me a quick trigger that I need to come in and adjust that. I know I can only expense $100 of my cell phone bill. I hit save. It's going to attach that, and now my flag is gone. Here's a picture of my receipt that I can hover over. Pull up my receipt there, attached to my line item specifically. Maybe you do business meals, right? Maybe you entertain clients or executives for your business. So let's do a quick business meal. So let's say that we took a trip out to, let's say, the Atlanta Fish Market. And let's say that we spent $124.87. Now we need to add our attendees. So you can easily track and add attendees to the system. We can add another one. We can allocate these across a couple of different people. And now my 124.87 has now been broken down over 3 different attendees. So this is all reportable, and we can again make sure that we capture all of that information. We can come out and attach a receipt. Got one of my receipts stored there. Technically, this would be scanned in from our expense application, so we'd be able to marry those two together into the system. We're going to save that, and now I've got my attendees, I've got my receipt, and everything is now finalized on my report. So from here, I've got all my expenses captured. Now it's up to me to go ahead and submit this for approval. Again, these are all your expense types. We customize and configure these appropriately for your business. For the one thing I didn't touch on, the personal car mileage, we have the reimbursement rates loaded automatically. If you use the IRS rate, we update that quarterly on your behalf. Some people use a different rate, and we upload those for you as well. So let's get this submitted and on so we can move on with our day. As someone who files expenses in the field, I can move on to what's going to be a more revenue-generating task for me. So I submit report. It's going to give me a full breakdown. It's going to give me my report total. It's going to give me the amount that's going to due my company Amex. It's going to give me the total paid by my company and what's due the employee. Let's pull us back out to the main screen here. Here is my newest expense report file, January 2017, submitted and pending approval by my manager. And that is Concur Expense. From this point, your managers will be able to log in to the expense site, pull up the report, view it either on a mobile phone or in the system, as you just saw it here, approve or send back to our user. for adjustments or comments. Once that's approved, it will automatically generate over to our typically our last stage in the process, which is our accounting processor. So whoever is going to be the final person to approve and export this information from Concur into your ERP or accounting system. That person's typically going to have full access to go in and make adjustments from a coding perspective or approval perspective as well. At this point, everything that we've captured in Concur is now exportable and reportable. So we work with all ERP systems and accounting packages as long as your system can take and import file. So we've got a few ways to work on integrations. 98% of our clients export files out of Concur and import into their accounting system. During your activation process, we actually manipulate a CSV file for export and import directly into your system in the appropriate column row situation. So we'll work with you to make sure that that's configured appropriately so no modification needs to be made once exported from Concur. We also have the ability to set up your own secure FTP site where we can deliver that file on a scheduled basis for you to capture there and import into your system. Typically as a phase 2 or 3 approach, 6 to 9 months within the project, once you're comfortable using Concur, we can talk about potential connector options with your ERP. Typically that involves using a value-added resource that you have on your end that helps manage the IT infrastructure and someone on our end to start to work with our open API platform to allow you to start making those connections for a bidirectional sync. Obviously some more cost is involved in that approach. That's why it's typically a phase 2 or 3 approach. Allow you to get comfortable and see if it's truly necessary to have that bidirectional sync. Like I said, 98% of our clients are going to use the export-import functionality. At that point, you can either reimburse your employees via check internally, you can reimburse employees via your payroll vendor, and you can also leverage Concur for our expense pay solution, which actually reimburses your employees and pays corporate card vendors as well within 3 banking business days of final approval. It's the easiest, most simplest form for reimbursement. It's what we use at Concur, and I know exactly where my money is coming and when it's going to be delivered to me for payment. It's an extended service, but certainly something that the majority of our clients take advantage of to take the payment and reimbursement process off of their plate. At that point, you're ready to go, and your users are now back in the field conducting business as you've hired them to do. So we look to make this very simple from the submission standpoint on the end user submitter side, and we make it significantly simpler on the accounting side for reimbursement processing and updating into your accounting software. That's the simple pieces of Concur Expense using Expenseit Pro. Again, my name is Ronnie Robinson. I'm happy to help you at any time to evaluate Concur invoice or travel and expense. Please email me at Ronnie, R-O-N-N-I-E, .Robinson, R-O-B-I-N-S-O-N, @concur.com if you have any questions. Thank you for joining me today.